what exactly comes to mind? Is it just the way of life of people? Well, culture is more than that. Culture is more than just the way of life of people.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
It's the totality of thoughts, of experiences, of values, of patterns of behavior, of assumptions about life that guide behavior of a particular group of people. Culture forms our identity. It influences our daily lives. Part of who we are, how we think, how we communicate, our views and values and assumptions about life are all influenced by our cultures. And so culture is rich, it's wide, it's elusive, and it's more than just the way of life of people.
Communication is not just the transfer of messages from one person to another. It is the negotiation of shared meaning. Words or actions may have no inherent meaning, but they gain significance from an agreed upon meaning. For example, an okay sign in Kenya means okay, in Japan means money, and zero in France. According to the transactional model of communication, communication is the exchange of messages between the sender and the receiver, where each takes turn to send and receive messages. It has 6 main components, which are the sender, who sends a message to a receiver through a channel, and the 2 most important in this conversation, the level of noise and field of experience. Noise refers to anything that might interfere in the communication process, and one element of the field of experience is culture. When we communicate, we assume that the other person takes the meaning that we intend. However, where there are different cultural backgrounds and experiences, this assumption may be faulty. For example, imagine you're in a restaurant in France and you're asked to pay your bill and show the okay sign. Things may not go so well for you. It is therefore important to understand communication practices of different cultures. Cultural communication is the verbal and nonverbal interaction between people from different cultural backgrounds. In a broader sense, it is the exchange of ideas, beliefs, values, and views. We are shaped by our upbringing and environment, and this influences our worldview, values, interactions, and even biases. In this sense, we create culture, and culture creates us. From the choice of words that we use to understanding of different messages, all these are aspects of communication and are influenced by culture. It is through this communication that individuals learn appropriate behaviors when it comes to relating with people from different cultures. The transactional model of communication, when the communicators, that is the sender and the receiver of the message, understand different fields of experience, then the level of noise goes down. Noise being biases, stereotypes, and assumptions about other cultures. Therefore, the meaning that is being shared between the two is understood for what it is, regardless of whether it is a positive or a negative message. Intercultural communication, as a field of study, seeks to understand how people from different cultures act, communicate, and perceive the world around them in hope of better communication practices in the future.
Have you ever wondered how you will feel when you travel to a city or a country where you can't communicate to anyone, you can't find your favorite meal, or even a meal familiar to you? Well, most people, including me, will get upset and think people of that culture live life wrong. Now, here is where intercultural communication comes to practice. Intercultural communication will help you learn, understand, and appreciate different cultures that we encounter. Through day-to-day interaction with different people, you will encounter someone from a different culture, and when you interact with them, you will get to learn 1 or 2 things about their culture, and that's when you start to get familiar with different cultures. When you learn about different cultures, you will then understand that there is no right or wrong culture. They are all just different ways of living. So don't get upset when you find out a particular culture does things wrong from how you do it. Just learn and appreciate them. Take it as a responsibility to learn different cultures and appreciate them, so that When you experience different cultures or when you visit a different city, you are able to communicate and appreciate their way of living.
That's on period.
Culture, just like any other, is a barrier to effective communication. And we may call these cultural barriers, and we all know we've seen people, they violate our own cultures. For example, in my community, it is a taboo to talk to an elderly person while facing down instead of facing them directly or looking them directly into their eyes. And even pocketing now becomes a taboo. And intercultural communication helps us learn more about our cultural diversity. You know, all our cultures are diverse. You cannot stick on your culture without also respecting the culture of the other person that you are interacting with. You can, when you go to Luoland, when you go to Kalenjin, any Kambaland, you have to know whatever they believe in, whatever their beliefs are based on, so that you can have an effective communication with them. In conclusion, culture means a lot to a communication student and a communication fraternity in general. Whenever one violates the rules of other people's culture, it ceases to be effective communication and becomes a barrier. So everyone goes up saying, so and so doesn't respect my culture, so and so is disrespectful because of that one rule you violated. As I always say, I respect your culture, you respect my culture, then we'll build mutual relationships and we'll have an effective communication.
Oh my God! Wow!
Thank you for listening and viewing our video.